Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Good luck.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. I'm Stuart and I'm also joined by Andy.
Good evening and welcome. Hello,
this week,
even to Booger as well, because he's in the chat. We have our first person in the chat. Way.
and that's the quickest ever we've had somebody in the chat, so well done to Booger. Yeah, we have two films to review this week. They are...
Liam Neeson is back in I Will Find You and I Will Kill You, Taken 2. And Ethan Hawke is in horror film Sinister.
Yeah, on top of that, we have some movie news in the box office top 10. But like Andy alluded, we have the live chat, and you can get us on it on Spreaker itself. So chat with us. You can also get us on Twitter and other places as well.
Yeah, so, I actually just want to go over something as well for the live chat, because I was chatting with a friend at the weekend. I was at an ale festival, and a friend was talking about the show and some things, and he came up with drinking games for the show. A couple of them was to see if you could make it to the end of the show whenever having to take a drink, whenever you say garbage, or whenever you mention Studio Ghibli.
Oh God, I'm screwed in one of the news stories tonight, then, aren't I?
Yeah. But if anyone in listening in live chat land, and we have GameStar Junkie in there as well, and Sonny.
Sonny, yep.
Wow. Doing well tonight. Anyone in there wants to suggest for, not necessarily for the show, but for films, drinking games for films, certain things you can say when you watch a film to try and test someone if they can make it to the end without getting drunk and passing out.
Yeah, like for instance, watching a Sacha Baron Cohen film and taking a drink every single time he does something inappropriate. You'll be dead at the end of it.
You might make it to the end there. I mean, if you want to make it really hard, I would say have it so that every time he makes a joke and you don't laugh, then take a drink. You wouldn't make it to the end of the film then.
No, definitely not. Right there, let's get things kicked off with the UK box office top 10. At number 10, Untouchable.
We haven't seen this. It is a French film which is getting really good word of mouth, really good advance nods for potential Oscar winning, to do with it's a sort of a friendship between a man who is disabled and paralysed from the neck down and the man who is hired to be his helper. It is, as I say, getting really good nods to being one of the films to watch out for Oscars come next season. I did have a chance to see it, but at the time I didn't get to, so I'm curious, but I don't think I'm going to get to see this because I don't think my cinema is showing it at the moment, which is odd because they did advertise it.
Yeah, if I can actually be bothered, there is a cinema which I know not far from me that's showing this film. I am intrigued by it because I do like what's happened with French cinema over the last few years, and what they can do with the movies. They're much more hard hitting, so I'll try my best to get to see it, but I don't think it's going to be in the top 10 anyway by the time I get to see it, so it might be a bit of a wasted trip.
It may be in the next week. I mean, this week's releases may push things down, but you never know, it might do better because it has been, as I say, getting really good word of mouth.
Yeah, number 9 is Brave.
What more is there we can say about Brave? It's just Pixar light, really. Is there anything more to say about it? No? It's disappointing for a Pixar film. It's a Scottish story with a princess who doesn't want to be a princess, wants to live a normal life, doesn't want to be married off, and goes off into the forest. And it's just one of these things, fairy tale that becomes a big fantastic thing. Only it's not really.
Yeah, you go for the visuals and nothing else. Number 8, The Sweeney,
which is a perfectly fine British action film. It's not really the Sweeney. It is more of a character piece to do with Ray Winstone's character and, to a lesser degree, Ben Drew's character. The characters of Reagan and Carter, all they have that links really to the Sweeney is that they are the names Reagan and Carter, and they are the Flying Squad. It's sort of a weirdly outdated movie because it does have this thing of them using really harsh tactics that you would have seen in the 70s, but present day, which anyone with a camera phone around is going to get you. You'll be done for assault.
Yeah, Ben Drew crops up a little bit later on in the DVD part of the show when I'll review Ill Manners, and it shows his directing side rather than his acting side, so find out a little bit later on what he's like as a director rather than an actor. Number 7, Hope Springs.
Again, this one we haven't seen because it did get a small release. I'm not even sure if it is showing again in my local cinema. My local cinema is not particularly brilliant for things lately. It's a sort of comedy drama with, you have Tommy Lee Jones and
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep, thank you. I was blanking on the name there. The two of them playing an elderly couple whose love life is essentially died altogether, non-existent, and she wants to rekindle it. And supposed to be quite an amusing film, but very difficult to watch if you go and see it with any of your parents or any sort of family members to do with that subject. So it's something it seems to be doing all right for itself. It's doing quite well, and again getting good word of mouth, but just only difficult in those circumstances.
Yeah, just before I go on to the number 6 film, GameStar Junkie says he didn't get the drinking game, so I'll give you a refresher. Anytime when I see something like garbage or something to do with Studio Ghibli, you've got to take a drink. So there's 2 drinks you have to take right now. Yeah. Anytime I mention those 2 words, or if Andy mentions the word actually, because he has a tendency of doing that a lot. To do that. So yeah, you take a drink on the word actually. Anything to do with Studio Ghibli, you're going to be screwed in the news. And if the word garbage crops up again, so that's multiple drinks now you're going to have to take.
Yeah, but also we're asking you for suggestions on films, so you can watch a film like watch the Transformers films and have a drink every time there's slow motion. You will not make it past the second one.
Or a Resident Evil film. Number 6, Killing Them Softly.
This is a weirdly comic, dark humoured film about a hitman who's brought in to clean up a mess of these 2 guys who have then robbed a card game. It's a weirdly funny film, I say, because of the fact of that it didn't make me laugh out loud a lot, but it is rather humorous, which is a weird thing to say. I'm going to get for the same weird now because I said it about 5 times. But there's Brad Pitt at the centre of it is the main character who's brought in. You have James Gandolfini in there as well as another hitman who's brought in. It's all to do, though, really focusing on men talking about their feelings and things and how they like the situation they're in with a hitman who doesn't like killing people closely because of the fact of that they get all touchy-feely, they'll cry and complain and they don't want to die and that kind of thing when he prefers to kill them from a distance. And you have this whole thing of James Gandolfini's character who's essentially a washout drunk who can't do the job anymore. And he talks about, his life and where he's got to and his problems with his marriage and stuff. And it's all about that. It's really strange in a kind of way like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy in that it focuses on the men rather than the job, which is strange, but it makes for a really good film. It's not a long film, only an hour and a half, and it's one of the best films out this year.
Number 5, House at the End of the Street.
We haven't seen this, but have you seen this?
I haven't seen it yet. At all.
I think you better cover this because you'll know this. You'll know this one better than I will.
The reason why I haven't seen House at the End of the Street is because I've been completely put off by it. If you've seen the trailer of it, it doesn't look anything special at all. It just looks like the typical sort of like stalker kind of movie. It's got Jennifer Lawrence in it and Elizabeth Shue, who plays mother and daughter who move into a house across from a house where an incident happened where a family was killed but the son survived, and then spooky things start to go on, and it just doesn't look very good at all. It hasn't been getting good reviews. It's been getting terrible reviews, been slated by critics, and hasn't done very well in the box office at all. So it looks a bit of a pass movie, and unfortunately I will have to review it once it comes out on DVD.
Yes, I'm not.
Yeah, at number 4 in your entry for the campaign.
Comedy from Jay Roach, the director of Meet the Parents, which has got the two characters played by Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis as two sort of opposing people running for office, and the tactics and the battle between the two of them as they are trying to win the votes over the other one. I haven't seen it. I was going to try and see it last weekend, but didn't get a chance. But from everything that I've been hearing, I'm glad I didn't, because everything that I've heard or read has said that it's just not funny.
Yeah, number 3, a new entry for Resident Evil Retribution.
Yeah, which is now starting to get a very stale series, aside from an opening sequence, which I really do like. I love the opening. Has a great piece of music playing on the soundtrack, has a weird thing of a action sequence shown literally being played in reverse, and then it does what this series does a lot of the time, which is press the reset button, which really annoys me about it, because I would like to see where it would have gone from there at the end of the last film. The whole thing is just really now getting annoying, and what's even more annoying is it's left off ready for another film, which they're going to be doing probably next year or the year after.
Yeah, one fact about it is this is the lowest taking Resident Evil film ever in the UK.
Not surprised.
Even though it's a 3D film, it is the lowest taking Resident Evil film. The first one even outdid this. Normally Resident Evil films do pretty well across the globe rather than America. It's probably just getting its money back now, but this is the weakest one, considering the last one took in around about 1.5 million in its first weekend.
Yeah, I don't think the next one will do much better unless it is a really good film and people go back to it more.
Yeah. Number 2, Paranorman.
The best animated film that I have seen this year, without a doubt. Brilliant. The stop motion animation about a boy who sees ghosts and then has to go on a sort of a mission to try and save a town from a big curse to do with a ghost and a witch. It's a film that is rated PG, I believe, but it is quite scary for kids. So if you're going to take kids to see it, because it is a kids' film, but there's lots in there for adults, and the subject, and there's moments in there that young kids will find quite terrifying, to be honest. But a brilliant animation and a great film. I laughed a lot in it, and I had so much fun during it. It was a great film.
Yeah, I'm actually going to see this tomorrow, so we'll see what I think of it.
Yeah.
And at number 1, a new entry for Looper.
Fantastic science fiction film to do with time travel, where your head almost kind of does implode but doesn't. You've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing the younger version of a character, Bruce Willis playing the older version of a character, who has then been sent back in time to be killed by his younger self, but then manages to escape, and it's the two of them sort of having a duel between the two of them because of the fact that he's come back with a mission of something that he has to do. I'm not going to say more than that because that would spoil it, but a brilliant film.
Yeah, cannot say anything more than that, the fact that it is a brilliant film. Right, let's get on with some movie news.
Yeah, starting out with last week, it was announced, well, not with us, but during the last week, it was announced that Haywire actress Gina Carano has been cast in the lead in an as yet untitled movie that will essentially be a female version of The Expendables. It's now also been announced that actress Katie Sackhoff from TV's Battlestar Galactica series has also been cast in the movie.
Yeah, that was an actress which was eluding me, because we were trying to think of actresses who could star in this kind of film, and Katie Sackhoff is a good choice. Just for people in the live chat, who do you think should be in this kind of movie? Just let us know. We came up with ideas like Linda Hamilton and Sigourney Weaver, but Katie Sackhoff was a good choice, actually. Yeah,
it's strange to see them going now the TV route, because she's not really had much in the way of films that she's been in. If she's actually been in any film, I can't think of any.
Neither can I. She's done a few.
Have a look.
Yeah, she's done a few video game voiceovers. She did obviously like the Command & Conquers and stuff like that. So she's done video game stuff, but I'm not sure about films.
Okay, and my other piece of news is that the cast for the English audio of Studio Ghibli animation from Up on Poppy Hill has been announced. The cast will include the likes of Jamie Lee Curtis, Ron Howard, Gillian Anderson, Christina Hendricks, Bruce Dern and Beau Bridges. The movie, which is written by legendary animation director Hayao Untangle My Tongue, Hayao Miyazaki, and directed by his son Goro, was released in Japan in 2011 and is expected to finally get its English language release early next year.
Yeah, I was really hoping that it would have been released this year because it's taken so long for it to come out. As a matter of fact, there is another Ghibli film already released in Japan this year, so we're a year and a bit behind, which is a bit annoying for me considering that I am a huge fan of the studio. It's the first time that Goro and Hayao Miyazaki have both worked together, because Goro did not the last film, because that was Hayao Miyazaki. He did Arrietty. So I'm glad that they both worked together after they had turmoil between each other on Hell's Moving Castle, because that was Goro's first Ghibli film that he actually did. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I cannot wait for it. I just cannot wait.
You're probably not going to shut up about it now, I guess, when it comes out. It's March. Warnings to anyone out there, March next year. Be ready for loads of Studio Ghibli talk.
Yeah, I think I might actually do a special episode of the Monday Movie Show where it's just me ranting on for about Studio Ghibli films for 45 minutes. By
all means, if that gets it out of your system, that's fine. I won't be around for that.
Yeah, I don't think very many people will be around as well. And welcome to the live chat, Wayne, which is the Menace, or Menace on, as I know him as on Twitter and on Minecraft and stuff. Right, my news stories. Variety are reporting that writer Drew Pearce, who wrote the screenplay for Iron Man 3, has been brought in to do some rewrites to Gareth Edwards' upcoming Godzilla reboot. The film is set for a May 16th, 2014 release date, the same date as the Ninja Turtles reboot.
Oh, that would be cool. Have them in all in one film. Giant mutant Ninja Turtles against Godzilla.
Yep.
Do that. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. It's not going to happen, but that would be awesome. No, really, Godzilla. I'm not expecting this to be good. I really am not.
Well, I put hopes in Gareth Edwards, considering that I thought Monsters was a fantastic film, and he has said today that that Godzilla, he's trying to make it more of a human kind of film.
Human. Wait, more of a human or more humour, did you say?
More of a human kind of film.
So kind of like Transformers made more of a human film as well. Yeah, this is going to suck.
Yeah, I always find that a bit dodgy myself as well. Why more of a human-natured film when it's about a big, huge, massive lizard monster thing?
Booga, I'm just going to correct Booga in the chat. It's not Godzilla, it's Gojira.
I thought it was Gojira.
With a J, not a Z.
Bad person. My last piece of news story is, this is strange, this one. Hasbro have struck a deal with indie production company Emmett/Furia Films to bring another 3 of their board games to the big screen after the success, in air quotes, of Battleship. The board games in question are Monopoly, Action Man, even though Action Man's not actually a board game, and Hungry Hungry Hippos. Monopoly had originally been in development at Universal, where Ridley Scott was attached to produce it. It's unknown how the other 2 will be tackled. It's just...
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Do you hear that? That is me now literally bashing my head against the desk. That's just...
Yeah,
no.
You can stop that now. But a Hungry Hippos movie, how the hell are they going to do that?
I don't know. Who could they get? I mean, Hungry Hippos. Just no.
How the hell are they going to do that? And one quick thing before we go to the break. Adele released a song for Skyfall, entitled Skyfall. I just want to know what people actually think of it. It's supposedly gone back to the 60s kind of feel. I think it's a bit safe. That's how I think of it.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I listened to it, and I'm sure that I heard the original music from like early in the Bond films, just using the background for it. So it's not really original. There's no theme to it because it's just using the music from the other one. So it is lazy, and the lines in it are just. It's just. I mean, it's not like the last one. I mean, God, or Madonna's one, which is I think for me will go down as the worst Bond theme in history. But just it's good. in the way that it is going back to the original kind, but yeah, it's just not. There's something about it. It's just not original. It's not brilliant.
Yeah, Booger on the live chat before I go to the break, he said killer hippos from outer space turn into zombie hippos. Maybe, possibly, on that thought. Let's go to a break, and after that we'll have the first review.
Kids, there's nothing more cool than listening to a podcast you like. But if someone podcasts in a place or in a way that you find unfunny, that's no good. So what do? First, you say, lol no. Second, you tell them to GTFO. Third, you get some Holocaust in your luggles. And most importantly, you have to tell someone. Like your parents, your teacher, or a police officer. We are the Holocaust. 9 o'clock, Wednesday nights, lolocaust.co.uk. We don't clash with The Apprentice anymore.
Yeah, welcome back. Booger's now writing the script for this Hungry Hippos movie from out of space and zombies and stuff.
I have an idea. I know who they can cast as one of the hippos. Val Kilmer.
Yeah, well, he's not doing anything that much, so why not? He seems to be doing those really crappy movies. You did reviewed a film called Seven Below, didn't you?
Have you seen him recently? He's starting to
I know
look
he's
like me.
puffed out a bit.
Yeah, he's starting to look like me.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to actually abstain from saying anything else just in case you decide to go, disappear if I say something wrong. So let's go on to our first review.
Taken 2, which is directed by Oliver Megaton. I still think he's got a brilliant name. Liam Neeson is back as Brian Mills, the ex-operative who previously went looking for his daughter when she was kidnapped and put on the sort of slave trade, human trafficking market in France. In this movie, everything is sort of back to normal, although some time has passed, obviously. Kim, played again by Maggie Grace, is getting on with her life, but she's sort of still struggling a little bit. She's finally starting to move forward. She has a boyfriend, and her father is then quite protective and overlooking her and everything, and as well trying to help her become advanced. And actually, at the beginning, he's trying to help her pass her driving test. The whole thing is all then sort of a bit thrown off when his ex-wife, Lenore, played again by Famke Janssen, is having problems with her husband at the time, and they've separated. She is then sort of upset, and the two of them sort of become quite close again. The whole thing is then sort of jumped forwards to Liam Neeson's character is then working in Istanbul. He's going to be there for a few days, working security for some private company for a person, where at the same time then Kim and Lenore then turn up to surprise him. They're sort of going around the city and everything is normal, but at the same time he starts becoming suspicious of things, like they're in the car and realising they're being followed by a group of men who are linked to the men that he killed when rescuing Kim previously in the first film, out for revenge to get him for doing so. And they actually capture him and capture his ex-wife, take them prisoner, and have him held up in a place where he manages to get hold of a phone and calls Kim to warn her and try and get her help to rescue him. Here's a clip.
Tell me what to do.
Take the case.
Is it open?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you see a map?
Yeah.
Take the map. You'll see a
Scale on the top in kilometers.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Now take one of those little cans.
It's a grenade. Is there a safe place you can throw it?
There's a parking garage.
I want you to pull the pin out of the grenade.
Count to 3 so I can hear it.
1, 2, 3. Dad?
Now draw a circle on the map.
With the hotel in the middle.
And the circumference at 4.5
kilometers.
Okay.
Do the circles intersect at any point?
Yeah, 2 points.
I want you to go to the point
Where the circles intersect at the east. I want you
to take one of the guns
Get to a rooftop. Wait for my call.
So from there, the story then goes quick into action mode, where Kim is on the run from people that are trying to chase after her, but also he's trying to get to them, to his father, to help him escape, and so they can get away. The whole thing is essentially a rehash of what happened in the first film, but with the whole thing of revenge of the people trying to get him sort of tacked on. And as a result of that, it is an inferior movie to the first one. It's really just, it takes a little while to get going, but an issue that I had with it right from about the first 10 minutes or so is I could just tell it has been stripped down, it's been edited down, and things been cut out really quickly just to try and get it speeding along a bit. There's sequences as well during the fights which apparently the film hasn't been edited for its release here, because it's been given a 12A release, but it's been edited by the film studio before being shown to the BBFC for final rating. So they made changes to it before they submitted it. And I think also I remember reading somewhere that Oliver Megaton is doing an uncut version of it on the Blu-ray when it comes out eventually. So they're already planning to release it uncut than what is released in the cinema at the moment. The version in the cinema isn't that bad editing-wise, but really, it's just unfortunately once it gets to about halfway through and that whole thing of the kidnapping has happened, not a lot much else happens. It's just Liam Neeson sneaking around, shooting people. Now, you saw this as well, Stuart. Am I wrong or am I right? Did he not at one point fire off like from a single handgun, like 50 bullets or something without reloading?
Yeah,
at least more than one occasion.
Yeah, it's really unrealistic in, like you said, in more than one occasion. Definitely.
I'm sure as well that I saw during one sequence when he's walking through buildings and such, his gun changed 2 or 3 times to a different gun. I mean, I hate pointing that out, but I noticed that when I was watching it, and it's just like, annoying. It's one of those, it's just a little thing but annoyed me. But Liam Neeson is just doing the Liam Neeson thing, and every time you hear him, he's always... Yeah, his voice is really good like that, but I mean, unless you're watching it somewhere that's really loud, you'll struggle to hear him more than people struggle to hear Tom Hardy in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that Liam Neeson is starting to sound more like a growling dog.
He has got this really gravelly voice thing going on. I don't know what's happening, but
like he smokes like 40 a day constantly, and it's really screwing up his voice badly.
There's also things that his character does during the film which really annoyed me, like in a kind of horror movie, blonde girl runs up the stairs and you're screaming, "Go out the front door, don't go up the stairs." He does these things in the film and I'm like, what are you doing? Do that, don't do this. And it's kind of like he's supposedly an expert, but he sort of escapes and then leaves people and then goes and does something and then comes back and finds, surprise, surprise, oh look, they've gone, and just really sort of convenient plot things happening so they can stretch out the film to its running time, which I'm sad to say is only 91 minutes in length, so it's not even a really long film. This one was directed by Oliver Megaton. The first one was directed by Pierre Morel. I wish they had got him, because Oliver Megaton, the only other film I can think of right now that I've seen he did was a film called Colombiana, which wasn't bad. It's about the same kind of level as this, though. It's just it's the typical kind of Luc Besson written and produced by film, and it should have been a heck of a lot better. It's really disappointing. I did want it to be more. I did enjoy it, but it stretches the things out really thin for the last sort of 20 minutes. And for a 90-minute film, that's just not good.
Yeah, the scary thing is also the predicted box office takings for this movie in the UK is £7.4 million over the weekend, which is just absolutely nuts. It took $50 million in the US box office.
Well, I mean, I think that's down to them dumbing it down for the 12A rating, and I'm guessing in America it was stripped down for a PG-13 there.
Yeah.
So it can get maximum spread and get a lot of people go and see it. Because, I mean, the thing is, we all know it happens. Films that get released on DVD get seen by people younger than they're supposed to be. So the first film has probably been seen by a lot of people around the age of 12 without any issue now. So they'll go and gladly see this, and they'll enjoy a lot of it. But it's for anyone else who wants a bit more intelligence in the film, like the first one had, then you're going to be sorely disappointed. There are nice attempts. There are some bits in there where you can see they've tried to do that, but then it's just like they've lost it in editing. They've gone, oh, we need to get this quick, speed up. It's an action film. It's not a thriller. And really, the first one was a thriller. This one needed to be as well, not just an action sequel.
Yeah, it's just a boring cash cow of a movie. That's all it was made for, just to bring in some money, and evidently it has. And I just found it a pointless film. It's not a hateful, terrible movie. Like, I would probably lash out on it, but I'm not going to. It's just a pointless nothingness movie, and that's not very nice to see it.
I didn't think it was as bad as some of the reviews I've heard and read that saying that it is just absolutely awful. It's not that bad. It's not absolutely awful. But it's certainly not what it should be. I mean, especially even a sequel to the first one, you knew it was never going to be really good, but you expected it to be more than this.
Definitely. Right, on to our next film, Sinister. It's directed by Scott Derrickson, who the last time he attempted this kind of movie was The Exorcism of Emily Rose. This stars Ethan Hawke, who plays Ellison Oswald, who's a writer. He writes true crime fiction. He originally used to write stories which were complete fiction, but now he's changed his tact because of one book that he wrote 10 years prior, which made him sort of like a bestseller. However, each book that he's actually released over time has become worse and worse, and every single town that him and his family has moved into, they've sort of been driven out of that town because the police don't think that he's harming the police force with what he's doing, considering that his books surround him trying to hunt down serial killers or missing children. In this case, it is about a missing child. He moves into the house, house with his family, his two sons and wife, played by Julia Rylance, who plays Tracy. He hasn't told her why they've moved into this house. This house holds a really dark secret. Supposedly, the family who originally lived at this house was murdered on a tree, and he hasn't told them that this is the place also where the daughter went missing. During a night when he's putting away items in a box in the attic space, he discovers this box that contains home movies. He sits down and watches one of these home movies, and it actually contains the film of the family who originally lived there, and they get killed. He subsequently watches the rest of the movies, and the rest of the movies show deaths of families, and somehow they have a connection. Here's a clip.
Wait, did you say 2976, like 2976?
Yeah, why? Does that mean something to you?
No, it doesn't. No, thank you. Thank you, Deputy. Before the Stevensons moved here, they lived where the Miller family murders happened. Holy shit.
So like a nice bit of music there to end out that scene. There's one of the jump moments in that scene revolving around something on the computer screen, and it also centers around this demon that supposedly snatches children, feeds off the souls of children, so he can get into the well, he doesn't actually want to become real. He wants to just zap the souls out of children. I'm not going to go into the plot anymore. The film itself, for the first 40-45 minutes of it, works really well because it does build up tension. It builds up a lot of tension, and there are a few scares, and I think the scares are down to how loud your cinema has their sound system up. A lot of these scares in movies now, I think, revolve around that. It's not from the jump scares that are put in the movie by the director himself. It's by how loud you actually hear the scares. When boxes fall and you hear a loud thump, that's when you're obviously going to jump. And evidently a couple of people in the screening that I went to see it at jumped at a few loud noises.
I hate those. It's just empty jumps. I really hate those sort of fake jumps. in a film. I don't really like jumps anyway, but I hate the ones that are just they're not really. There's no need for them.
Yeah, there is the jumps in this film are the fake kind of jumps. There is one initial scare that I was going to put in a picture in the review that I put up on the site mondaymovieshow.co.uk, but I thought I would actually leave it out because it's actually a really well done scare as well. And so for the first 40-45 minutes of the film, it works really well. It's just the last half, and it's the thing, like I said in my review, of what Derrickson has a problem with. With his movies, he seems to be able to have a good concept and be able to follow that concept really well. For the first half of the movie, he just loses the plot, and the last half, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, is a prime example. It works really well for the first 45 minutes. But then it just goes downhill, and Sinister falls in that trap. It just goes downhill in the last 45-50 minutes of the movie. It follows the same typical kind of plot you would expect, and it just makes the movie seem very average rather than the more special movie that it should have been, because I was really looking forward to this. It looked like a genuinely creepy, scary movie. And like I said, for the first 45 minutes, it is. It's just let down by the last half. The acting is done really well. Ethan Hawke is really good in this movie, and the family relationship that he has helps the movie a lot more. The music is really twisted. It's very, very twisted. The way the music it goes from playing normal to the kind of scary music that you'll expect to music that's so strange and weird that you're hearing kids chant in sort of like a demonic kind of voice, and it adds to the tension. There is also one scene in the movie which I think the director completely spoiled. It's a silent scene, but then he decides to bring some music into it about 20 seconds into the scene itself, and it completely dilutes the scares in that scene. If he left it silent, then it would have worked much more better. But because he brought in music, it just lost itself, and that's when the film starts to go downhill. So if you want to see a movie where it's genuinely scary for the first 40 minutes and then it loses a little bit at the end, then I would recommend Sinister. It's not too bad, but it's nothing special, so don't expect that. And like I said, the reviews up on the site.
I'd say the same thing for Jeepers Creepers. The first sort of 40 minutes of that is really quite terrifying, but then it just wimps out.
Yeah. But yeah,
is it similar in that regard, or is it better than that in the last sort of half of it?
I actually like Jeepers Creepers.
I do like it as well, but as a horror film, it starts off really well and then wimps out the last half of the film.
This is the same. It does that problem. It starts off really well, but because of the fact that he's investigating these crimes more and more and more, it just starts to become more of somebody investigating crimes rather than being a horror film. It just loses the horror of the film itself, and it starts to become a bit stagnant. So it's not too bad. It's better than some of the films that are released this year, so it's not too bad. And like I said, the review's up on the site, and Andy's going to be working on a review for Taken 2 also on mondaymovieshow.co.uk.
Yes, right. I will get that up sometime today.
Yep,
hopefully.
Right. That's it for the cinema part of the show. We will be back in a moment for the Blu-ray and DVD part of the show. If you're listening to us live on Spreaker, make sure you refresh Spreaker when we tell you on Twitter itself to catch the Blu-ray and DVD part of the show. Leave us comments on places like Twitter and YouTube and iTunes if you're listening back on this, and we will be back in a moment.